Cool. Okay, we might as well get started. So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining. We've got a lot of content to cover today. So today we'll be covering a product roundup for 2023. So we released a lot of features last year, and we know that sometimes it can be difficult to keep track when we're sending you lots of new updates. So we've put together a webinar to wrap up a bunch of the features that we released in 2023. On the call today, we've got a bunch of people from our product team. So I'm Amy, I work on the product marketing team, and I work very closely with our product team. So today we've got on the call Stephen, who is head of product. We've also got Nori, who is one of our product managers, specifically focusing on Amazon and NetSuite. We've got Mariko, who is an associate product manager who works across all of our teams. And we've also got Tracy, another one of our product managers, specifically focusing on Shopify. So what we're going to cover today, so we're going to start off, Steve's going to give us an overview of the state of e-commerce accounting. So what we've seen in our data and some of the trends that we saw for 2023. We're then going to talk about our mission and how A2X is using this data to align ourselves and make the product better and better to help address some of the challenges that we're seeing. And then we're going to dive into product demos. So we've got a bunch that we will be covering. And then at the end, we'll have a time for questions and answers. So feel free to pop your questions into the little question section and we'll answer all of those at the end. Brilliant. So I'll now hand over to Stephen to talk us through the state of e-commerce accounting.
Thanks, Amy. Hey, so I'm Steve, head of product. We are very lucky to have 12,000 e-commerce businesses and their accountants using A2X. And there are insights that we can glean from this data when we look at it in aggregate about the state of e-commerce accounting in 2023 and where things may be heading in 2024. And I'm going to share a few specific insights in a minute. But in a nutshell, what the data suggests is that e-commerce, surprise, surprise, got more complicated in 2023, and the pace of innovation and change actually seems to be increasing. The customer experience is getting better and better as a result of all this innovation, but it's more complicated than ever for sellers and their accountants and bookkeepers to manage all this change across more channels, more apps, more gateways, and more fees. And so, like, when you think about 2023 and some of the major events that happened that had a direct impact on e-commerce accounting, oh man, there's been a few big ones, like Amazon and Shopify partnering on Amazon Buy with Prime, meaning sellers who want to offer the Buy with Prime button on their site will see part of their order on Shopify and part of their order on Amazon. We're seeing Shopify continuing to be more like a marketplace with innovations like Shop Cash, which again is driving a bunch of changes in settlements and how they appear. We saw TikTok launching its own shopping cart, then launching a Shopify app for it. Then they pulled that app, and then Shopify launched their own TikTok app. And it means that an order originating on TikTok can flow into Shopify, but it was a bit of a head spinner how that all went down. Shopify launched Markets Pro to simplify the complexities of selling in other countries, resulting again in new fees and new payout types. We saw Amazon launch a new selling partner API, changing their support for Amazon Pay merchant accounts. So those are just a few. So 2023 was a bit of a wild ride, and this constant innovation and change leads to fragmentation and complexity, which makes it harder and harder to ensure that you've accounted for sales and COGS in your books. And so let me show you what I mean. If we can move to the next slide, Amy, please. I've got some stats here that we pulled from some of our own data. And so, like, if you look at the first thing in the top left, the average A2X Shopify account is now connected to 5 unique gateways. And this is nudging up every year. So, often, like, new connections, new gateways, new apps manifest themselves as gateways in Shopify, and things like, Buy Now, Pay Later, Shop Cash, Buy with Prime, Markets Pro, TikTok, all these things keep driving up the gateways, and how these gateways kind of need to be managed and how they're accounted for can have their own nuances. Secondly, just sheer number of apps in the top right side there's been a 247% increase in the number of apps. There's now 8,000 plus apps on the Shopify App Store. So again, you've got things like, Facebook, TikTok, Buy with Prime's got an app, Loop Returns, etc. And again, these all have accounting nuances in how they update and change orders. Third trend, if you go to the bottom left, multi-channel. So again, this number is nudging up a little bit every year, and there's now 1.6 sales channels per GL. So, what's the takeaway? The majority of customers in A2X are multi-channel today. And so, again, that means more complexity on how you manage your accounting. And then lastly, bottom right, number of fees. Saw more fees get introduced in 2023 with some of these new offerings. And the fees themselves are starting to kind of consume a little bit more and more of your margins. And so more than ever, paying close attention to your numbers and understanding these things accurately matters more than ever. So let's move on, Amy. So what is A2X trying to do about this? How can we make it easier for sellers and their accountants to manage all this change and complexity? Let's jump in. Next slide, please, Amy. We think that our job at A2X is to continue to focus on these four things: accuracy, to make sure you can trust and accurately reconcile your payouts and you can trust the numbers; automation, saving you as much time as we possibly can by reducing, manual effort that you guys need to do; providing a really great user interface that's very easy to use; and then on top of all of that, having a really good support team with people that are e-commerce experts and accountants. And, we've been doubling down on these core pillars. And first of all, in the category of accuracy, we're super excited that we're launching some new reconciliation tools in the next month or two. And you'll hear a little bit more about that at the end of this presentation, as well as I think there's going to be two follow-on presentations on new Shopify and Amazon reconciliation tools that, again, will kind of reinforce the things tie out to the penny. Automation, there's a bunch of stuff that we launched in 2023, support for TikTok, Buy with Prime, Markets Pro, added a new tool to make it easy to pull in COGS data from a Google sheet. So a lot of stuff there that you'll be hearing about shortly. And then lastly, in the category of user experience, we dramatically overhauled our user experience in 2023. It's changed a lot, and it's faster, it's easier to use, it's more intuitive. The setup process is, we think, a lot better, and you can navigate around a lot more easily. So we're really excited about all of these things, and we're going to get into it in a minute. Next slide, please, Amy. So we also want to thank our customers, sellers and their accountants, for their ongoing support of A2X. It's really your feedback that helps us improve the product. And we're blown away by the reviews that people leave. And we're going to do our best to try making this product better and better for you, and invest in a team of people who support you, who are, bring those strengths in terms of accounting and e-commerce backgrounds to the table, so that you're getting the expertise that you need. So with that, let's jump in.
Awesome. Great. Thanks so much, Steve. So like I said, we've got a lot to cover today. So let's jump in and take a look. So today we'll be covering 6 demos. I'm going to start off by showing you the new A2X interface. I'm then going to hand over to Mariko, who's going to cover the new simplified billing and our new partner dashboard. From there, Tracy's going to talk about our improved COGS import and some payment gateway support we now provide. And then finally, Nori's going to talk about NetSuite at the end. Before I jump into the first demo, I did just want to highlight some places where you can keep up to date with features that A2X is releasing. So within the A2X app, there's a little button at the top that says New. If you click on this will take you to the What's New section, which is a place where we provide updates on new features that we have released. So feel free to check this every now and then and keep an eye on the features that A2X is releasing. That's generally the first place we'll talk about new features. We also have a brand new section now living within the settings called the beta features section. So here we will release features that are still in beta. So anything that we're still testing out and looking for customer feedback on. This is a great place because you'll get first access to new features. So we'll give you an update when there are new features in this section, and then you'll be able to come in. And the good thing is you can activate these new features, try them out, certainly provide us with your feedback. And then if you like, you can actually still deactivate the feature while it's in the beta features section. So keep an eye on that area too. And then finally, if you're interested in testing features that A2X is releasing, feel free to drop me an email. We're always looking for people to provide feedback and test new features. So definitely reach out if that's something of interest to you. Great. Now, let's get into the demos. So first off, I'm going to talk about the new A2X. So hopefully you've logged into A2X within the last sort of 6 months. You will have noticed that it's had quite a dramatic change compared to previous times. So we have released a new homepage. So you'll see the A2X homepage has changed. You'll also see just recently in the last, towards the end of last year, we released a new sidebar navigation down the side. And we also have a brand new mapping page as well. So why did we release these features, or how it makes your life easier? So first of all, you'll be now interacting with more simplified, intuitive pages. So we did a real overhaul of the pages, removed steps that were unnecessary, made space for information that was more useful. So your experience with these new pages should be simplified. Secondly, we've improved the speed of which these pages, or how quickly they load. So some of our customers are seeing a 5 times improvement on the speed of these pages. So essentially, not only will it be a simplified page that you are now interacting with, it should also be a lot faster. And this will continue to improve as well over the coming months. And then finally, it's now a lot easier to set up and navigate through the setup of A2X. So we've provided more information when you're creating a new account, and it takes you through each of the individual steps. So now let me just jump to my other screen and I'll be able to show you these changes. So this is the new A2X homepage. You can see here that this account is actually set up already. So if you were to create a new account, you would see the new setup panel up the top here. But since this account is already set up, you can see that it's actually collapsed, and this setup area is now taking up a lot less space of your current homepage. So we've also done a job of reworking the section and providing detailed graphs and things like that. And then here you can also see the settlements. I'll also jump over and show you the new navigation. So you can see down this left-hand side here, this is the new sidebar navigation that I mentioned. It's now a lot easier to switch between your accounts. Obviously, I've got a bunch of different accounts, but if you only had a couple, you could very easily switch between your Amazon account and your Shopify account, for example. Depending on the structure of your account, if you have a team, if you're part of a partner, then you can easily access your teams here and get an account overview. And then finally, within this new sidebar navigation, it's also really easy to create a brand new account just by clicking on this button here, and that'll take you through the process. The other page that has been through some pretty significant changes is the A2X mapping page. So you might remember in the past, A2X just had kind of a list of the different transactions and then a section along the side to select an account. And we've reworked this page pretty significantly. So you can see here that there's a lot more detail on the transaction mapping. But firstly, up the top, I will just highlight there is some links to some really useful support. So if you click on these sections here, you'll get access to support material, and there's also a video that talks you through how the new mapping page works. There's also a link here if you're interested in working with an e-commerce accounting professional. So if you're looking at this page and you want to get it checked or you want to talk to an e-commerce accounting expert, this link takes you through to the A2X directory where you can find one of those. And these two sections relate to the assisted setup. So along with the new mapping page, A2X has also released an assisted setup, which makes setting up brand new accounts really easy. Essentially, you get asked a bunch of questions and then A2X can auto map the accounts for you. So that makes it really nice and straightforward. Then in this main mapping section, you can see here, there's a bunch of filters along the top. So already we're linked on the auto mapping rules. So we did have auto mapping rules on the old mapping page, but we provide a lot more granularity now and there's a lot more detail. So in a nutshell, auto mapping rules allow you to set rules for how you would like transaction categories to be managed. So for example, if you set an auto mapping rule for promotions, that would allow you to control how all of the promotions categories are going to be, or how all the promotions transactions are going to be mapped. And it also lets you set rules for future transactions. But if I jump off the auto mapping rules and onto all of the transactions, you can see there's a lot of detail here. And that's really where A2X, I guess, specializes or comes into its own, the granularity that we can provide. But we also can understand that it can be a little bit overwhelming. So what you can do is you can come in here and you can filter. So you can filter just by a specific transaction type, for example. You can see here that I'm just showing refunds. You can also click here to exclude anything. You could just exclude refunds. So that's going to show you everything other than refunds. And then you can go into more detail here. So for example, you can click on a specific transaction, or what's really useful is you can search for something like tax, and then that will just show the tax detail there. So you can start to really manipulate the data and find exactly what you're looking for. You can also then bulk apply action. So if you wanted all of these transactions to be applied to a specific account, you can do that by selecting these checkboxes. And then additionally, we've got account and tax rate filters on the end. So these are really useful if you're wanting to see, first of all, anything that's not been mapped, which is really useful if you get a notification from A2X and there's an unmapped account. It makes it really easy to just find those specific transactions. Or for example, if you wanted to see everything that was just going to your accounts payable account. And then the same for tax rate. So, and that depends on your accounting software. So as you can see, there's been a lot of changes to these pages. It provides a lot more granularity and a lot more control for you to map different transaction types. So that should overall improve your overall user experience. Brilliant. So I'll now hand over to Mariko to take you through simplified billing.
Oh, thanks, Amy. Share my screen. Great, so thanks, Amy. So hi, everyone. My name's Mariko, and I'm an Associate Product Manager here at A2X, and I'll be demoing both of our simplified billing and also our new partner dashboard. So with our new simplified billing, if you have multiple A2X subscriptions that are paid on different dates throughout the month, you can now move these subscriptions to one monthly invoice. Before we introduced the new simplified billing, customers would have to make sure they were in the right A2X account when managing the subscription, reach out to CS when having to manage admin rights to billing, and also keep track of invoices for different accounts billed on different dates. So this meant a lot of time and effort went into managing A2X invoices. With this new process, billing is more automated and allows for more control for A2X users. So how it makes your life easier. Improve visibility, so gaining a clearer and more comprehensive view of your subscriptions all in one place. Easier subscription modification, whether you need to upgrade, downgrade, or change your subscription, you can now do it all in one place, saving you a lot of time and effort. And consolidated monthly charges. So instead of dealing with multiple charges throughout the month, customers will just have one consolidated charge. So yeah, let's take a look at simplified billing. Go. So before I do take you through all the billing features, I'd just like to say that with our new simplified billing, this has been built to make your billing process more automated and to allow A2X users more control from one place. As mentioned in the last slide, the new process means that you'll have just one payment per month covering all of your A2X subscriptions. So our new simplified billing can now be found in your profile in the top right-hand corner, just underneath here. So in this demo, I'll make sure to highlight the My Billing page and also the subscriptions page. So in the My Billing page, this is where you can view and manage the payment details of your subscribed accounts. As you can see, we've made sure to add here the card details so you can easily update these when necessary. We also have your billing history listed beneath, including a credit balance section, which you can check to see if a credit has been applied to your next invoice. And we've also made it easier for you to find and check past invoices by month, by status, and also by a specific amount. So within the invoices down below, we've also made sure to add both a invoice PDF and also a CSV price breakdown of the invoice. Scroll back up here. So with this My Billing page, this is really just for you to be able to view current and historic A2X invoices and credit notes. So I'll also show you our subscriptions page. So if you're already in your My Billing page, as you can see, it's just below it. But if you also need to be able to access it from another page, you can just click on your profile in the top right-hand section here. So with your subscriptions page, this is where you'll be able to view, manage, or cancel your subscriptions. All your accounts will be listed here, and we've made sure to make it easier to manage by adding in search filters. So you can search by a specific account name, by sales channel, and also the subscription plan. Before we introduced Simplified Billing, if you wanted to subscribe an account, you had to make sure you were in the right account that needed to be subscribed. Now with our new Simplified Billing, you can search the account and choose a plan all in one place. And it also makes subscribing to multi-channel subscriptions easier, as you can easily link the sub-accounts all in this page here, as you can see here. So with Simplified Billing, all your billing and subscriptions will now live in this new section, rather than individually on each A2X account as it has in the past. So if you don't already have our new Simplified Billing, we have a really great support article that details the steps on setting it up, and I'm sure Amy can attach it to this recording. Great. I'll also go back to our slides. I'll also be showing you our new partner dashboard. This was released in 2023 in beta for all of our A2X partners. So just before I do take you through all of the dashboard features, I'd just like to say that our partner dashboard has been built to present partners with an intuitive interface for visualizing vital information to help swiftly make well-informed decisions for accounts and for your clients. The main goal for this first version that we've released is to help visualize key metrics and make it easy for you to detect accounts that need your attention. This is based on the most frequently requested features that A2X partners have been asking for. Great, so let's navigate to the partner dashboard. So in your A2X account, this can be found within the partner overview page, which is now located in our new sidebar right at the top. So if you're not seeing the partner overview option, but you are interested in accessing the dashboard, please do reach out to us at partners@a2xaccounting.com. So within this dashboard, there are 4 main sections that I'll highlight. The first is here, the number of subscribed clients. Second, posting inactivity. Third, trial accounts. And fourth, just below, accounting system disconnections and sales channel disconnections. So number of subscribed clients. This displays the total number of A2X subscriptions you manage and has been displayed at the top of the dashboard to easily keep track of. And this feature is particularly useful for practices with fluctuating client numbers. When the number here is clicked, you can view the entire list of accounts and also navigate to any specific one directly from this page. It's important to note that the number of subscribed clients only includes direct accounting system connections such as QuickBooks Online, Xero, Sage, and NetSuite, and it does not include manual accounting connections. So one A2X client equals one general ledger connected. Number 2, posting inactivity. So this identifies the accounts that have not posted in the last 30 days, regardless of whether they have the account set to auto post or you're manually posting. So this tool really helps in quickly pinpointing inactive accounts for further action, and you can click on either the number here or the view inactive accounts to see the full list of subscribed accounts with posting inactivity. Next, trial accounts just on the right. So this has been added so that you can monitor new clients who may be in the trial phase of A2X. This insight is incredibly helpful and critical for ensuring these accounts transition smoothly to a full A2X subscription. Having easy access to view these trial accounts really does help you to address any issues promptly. It's also a really great tool to use when you may need to clean up any duplicate trial accounts that have been accidentally opened, and it means you don't need to scroll down the sidebar on the left to access each trial account. And finally, just below this is our accounting system disconnections and sales channel disconnections. So I really understand that this can be a pain point for many of our users, and staying on top of which account is successfully connected and which may have a connection issue. We've made it so you can stay updated on any disconnections with both accounting systems or sales channels, whether they're caused by updates, expired credentials, or other issues. These widgets on the bottom on the dashboard just alert you to these disruptions and just enables really quick reconnection to avoid delays or inaccuracies in accounting. As you can see, when you click the number, you can actually see the accounts that have the disconnections happening, and you have really easy access to reconnect the accounting system or the sales channel. And it means you don't need to click and check every single A2X account to make sure they're all connected. So as I mentioned, if you're not seeing the partner overview option, but you are interested in accessing the dashboard, please reach out to us at partners@a2xaccounting.com. To become an A2X partner, you'll need to submit the partner form, complete training with an A2X partner trainer, and successfully subscribe one A2X client. Great, and I'll just hand off back to Amy. Okay. Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Awesome. So thanks so much, Marika. I'll now hand over to Tracy, who's going to take us through a few demos.
Thanks, Amy. I'll just share my screen. Thanks, everyone. So my name's Tracy. I'm the product manager for the Shopify product. And today I'm going to start by taking you through some changes we've made in our cost of goods sold area. So I'm sharing with you an example of a demo client that uses our cost of goods sold feature. And I just thought I'd start by taking you through what cost of goods sold does at A2X and then some enhancements we've made over 2023. So you can see as I scroll through this particular payouts page that some settlements have a cost of goods sold figure attached, such as the one I'm highlighting to you here, and many don't. They have a red costs area that indicate a cost is missing. And so that's a constant source of friction for our clients that use the cost of goods sold feature within A2X, in that when new SKUs are introduced, it's mandatory to let A2X know what the cost of goods sold is associated with each SKU for purposes of calculating that value. And when a cost is missing, we notify yourselves through our notification system to keep that updated. So if I move over here to our costs area, and just a reminder, our cost feature is available in certain plans and above. So if this is not a feature you're familiar with, feel free to reach out and have a chat with us, and we can get that enabled for you if you think that would add value to your processes. Within costs, we allow updating of costs one of now 3 ways. It formerly was one of 2 ways, and I'll just start with the most simplistic and work our way up. So if I click on this manage costs screen, you can see here, this is a list of some SKUs I've just gone with a standardized cost value. And the easiest way to keep costs updated is just to punch in a new cost value as I've shown you here, and then you can click on save. So if you've just got a few SKUs, that's probably the way that you'd want to proceed. But obviously, if you've got hundreds or thousands of SKUs, that's not going to be possible to keep your costs updated in real time this way. The second way that we introduced many years ago is a import by CSV file. And I won't be demoing this for purposes of today, but just so you know, you would export a CSV file, you would make your changes there, and you would re-import that CSV file here. And all of those changes are managed here in this tab called Cost History. You can see there's a fair bit of activity because I've been playing around with it for purposes of demoing here. And you can see that each time you make a change to cost, it's logged here. So the new functionality that we introduced during 2023 is called Google Sheets. And what happens here is if you're an accountant or bookkeeper and you're joining us today, you may have a relationship with a client and it's a joint effort to keep the costs updated between yourselves. Or if you're a direct seller, you may also find this feature very helpful, is we've introduced an ability to keep the costs updated on a Google Sheet. And then our system at A2X checks in with this Google Sheet once a day and makes those changes automatically on your behalf. So before I go to the Google Sheet, I'd also just like to reference you to an article that we've written here that you can read that has a step-by-step instruction on what I'm about to show you next, should you like to refer to that. And that can be linked to just by clicking here on this hyperlink that I'm showing you. So step one is to set up a Google Sheet, and you want to keep it very, very simple. It's just 2 columns. The first column is SKU, the second column is cost. And then you can start this Google Sheet, of course, by exporting from CSV from A2X and importing or copying and pasting into this Google Sheet. And then you make your changes. So let's just change this top SKU to 4. We'll just make a few changes so I can show you how this looks in A2X. And what you're going to do now is you're going to publish this Google Sheet to the web. And this is a one-off procedure. It's not necessary each time you make changes to the sheet. It's just the one time. And to do that, you go to File, and then you go to Share, Publish to Web. And the only thing to remember here is you need to change this web page to a CSV value. And then you're given a URL by the Google Sheet that you copy, and you paste it back into this Import Google Sheet cost file. So I'm just going to paste that link there, and I'm going to select the currency. I'm speaking to you from Australia today, so we'll go with Australian dollars. And then you click on Import Cost File, and you should get a message on the top right-hand side confirming that that cost of goods sold auto import is now enabled. Now you may notice that those SKUs have not yet updated. They're still all $3.30, and I'll show you how you can force a refresh at any time. As you might remember, this refresh happens automatically once a day. It's 1 a.m. UTC, but if you'd like to update things in real time, you can click on this Import Now button, which will force a refresh instantly. And now you can see these top 3 figures have been updated to the SKU costs that I've updated in the spreadsheet. And if we look at the cost history, you'll see a log that's happened here at the very bottom where I've made those changes. So you've got complete transparency there as well. So I hope you think that that might help you keep your costs updated in a more automated way. And just also a reminder that with these costs, the definition of cost is whatever you choose to define them as. So if you have a policy of landed cost, i.e. not just the cost that you pay your supplier, but also the cost to import your product, it's important to make sure that this column B reflects the entirety of the cost. And that's the end of the presentation for the Google cost import. So Amy, if you like, I can move over next to the next demo.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, I'll just get that set up. Just one moment. So I think I just need to stop my share and reshare. So just one moment.
Thanks for all the questions coming in, everyone. Stephen and I are madly responding, so keep them coming. We can also cover them at the end if there's time.
Okay, just wanted to confirm. You can see now the slide deck. Is that right, Amy?
Yes, yeah, we can see it.
Okay, thank you. All right. So the next section I'd like to speak to for the 2023 updates is around changes we've made here at A2X to accommodate new types of payment gateways we've seen happening over the year. So as Steve mentioned in the introduction to the presentation, Shopify is a space that never stops moving. And we've seen continuous innovation from Shopify over the last 12 months. And in particular, there's been a few things that we'd like to call out, which is integration with areas such as TikTok, Buy with Prime, and Markets Pro. Now, we do acknowledge these are a few of the many integrations that Shopify has brought out, but from what we hear from our customers, that these are important ones that our customers are asking for full integration with. And we're delighted to announce that we're now supporting integrations with these particular shopping integrations fully. And I'll speak to that in just a moment. So in terms of how this makes your life easier, what we always aim to do where possible is to match perfectly to a payout. So if you're receiving $60.03 in your bank account, that we here at A2X are creating payouts for that exact amount. That's sometimes possible because we can read the information we need to create that payout in terms of the fees associated and other charges. And sometimes we take you most of the way there in that we push in the payout and then the fee needs to be raised in your accounting system and matched across. TikTok and Buy with Prime are now detailed within the invoice, so we're able to break those out individually. And we're going to just continuously innovate and cut down the time it takes to manually account for other payment gateways as well. And we've just put a little caveat in there. We're never resting in that space. We're always looking for ways that we can save you more and more time. So what I'm going to do next is take you through a TikTok and Buy with Prime demo. I'm going to stay with screen prints for this, just in terms of confidentiality for our client base. The first thing I'd like to speak to is TikTok and Buy with Prime. And I've just given you a couple of slides from Shopify and also from Amazon announcing these partnerships. Really exciting time to be in e-commerce. So those clients who have TikTok shops, through the TikTok portal, we can set up an integration with Shopify. And once that relationship is set up, they can flow or import their orders directly into the Shopify order management system. And similarly, with clients that support Buy with Prime and have Amazon accounts set up already, but also choose to sell DTC or direct-to-consumer websites, they can now, within Shopify, nominate a payment method called Buy with Prime, which not only allows the client to pay with their Amazon account or their linked account through Amazon, but also utilizes the Buy with Prime fulfillment network, which is absolutely incredible and often next day. So we get questions from our clients all the time about, if these integrations are set up with Shopify, can you support them? Can you break them out and just show those components such that when we receive the deposits from Buy with Prime and from TikTok, that we can match those down perfectly in our bank account? So we started investigating, and this screenshot that I'm showing you now is an example of where a order that's been imported by TikTok has automatically been tagged in Shopify. And what we discovered is, with both these relationships, automatic tagging is happening as part of that synchronization process. And as a result, at A2X, we can look at those tags and form conclusions and develop code that looks for those patterns of text and then aggregates on your behalf automatically. So this is an example of a client that is using the TikTok shop, and we're delighted to announce here at A2X, there is no need to customize this or embed a setting to make this happen. We automatically look for these text patterns, and we create these settlements for TikTok and Buy with Prime now automatically as part of your payout creation. So this is an example of how that would present for TikTok shop, for example. And if I click through, you'll see an example of a TikTok invoice. So you can see here under description, we've appended the word TikTok for you, such that when you go over to your mapping screen, you're able to look for those words and map, where relevant, those lines directly into your TikTok payment gateway clearing account, for example. And I think I've also got an example here of Buy with Prime. Very, very similar. We've been able to append in the text for you called Buy with Prime. So you can also search on those text fields within your mapping screen and map directly to your Buy with Prime clearing account. So we hope you find that very, very helpful. And we continue to innovate in this area, as I mentioned, and we'll be looking for more ways we can deliver value continuously. And then finally, I just wanted to speak about some innovations that have come out in the Shopify space specifically, and I'll call these native Shopify payments. And this is just a snip of a website where Shopify made an introduction about their new relationship with a third-party app called Global E. And what happens in this space is, for e-commerce vendors that are selling into other countries where they have no formal registrations and find that all quite daunting in terms of the complexity involved in registering for sales tax or importing and finding freight forwarders and third-party warehouses, they can now piggyback on a service offering made by Shopify called Markets Pro. And what happens is, for a reasonably extortionate fee, if I do say so myself, it can be 10, 15, 20% of the sale. Shopify takes care, along with Global E, of all of those logistics on your behalf. So this is just a snip from a random client, just reminding you that now Shopify is playing natively in 3 specific areas. The Markets Pro, which I've just mentioned, Shopify payment installments have been around for a couple of years now, which allow clients to pay as they go. And then finally, Shopify payments, which I'm sure most of you are very, very familiar with. So I'm going to speak to Markets Pro specifically, and we already fully support Shopify payments, and we're looking very closely at the Shopify installment space as well. So this snip is an example of a Markets Pro payment screen from Shopify, and it's just a reminder to show you that there's a way within Shopify to do a filter such that you can just see your Shopify Markets Pro payments all in one place. And what we've done from there is we are analyzing very, very carefully the components within Markets Pro. So we're looking at things like the fee that's being charged to the vendor for processing the Markets Pro Shopify order. We're looking at currency conversion fees. And then I believe I've got also a screen here just to show you other things like import taxes and duties. So there's a lot of moving pieces that have to be synchronized to your accounting system. And we've been able to deliver a solution now where we can give you, I'll just move to the next screen, a exact payout total. And when you click back into that Markets Pro payout and look at the invoice detail, you can see all of those moving parts. And so that's been quite an improvement over the last few months in terms of our A2X service offering. And we're hopeful that you're finding that a real advancement in terms of doing the accounting for your Markets Pro. So that's me all finished. Look forward to any questions you might have at the end. And I'm going to stop sharing and hand back to Amy and Nori.
Thanks, Tracy. I can share my screen and we're going to have Nori talk you through NetSuite. Give me 1 minute.
I think you're muted.
How about now?
Yep.
Okay. Sorry about that. Perfect. Thank you, Amy. As Amy mentioned, I am Nori. I'm the product manager for our Amazon and NetSuite integrations. And I'm excited to give you all a little bit of a showcase of the NetSuite integration we built earlier this year. And for a bit of background, we've seen NetSuite become increasingly popular due to its scalability and comprehensive feature set. And while it's often larger e-commerce businesses that we see using NetSuite, we've also seen smaller customers using NetSuite as well. In any case, these companies often have seen increases in their business's complexity, which is what typically leads them to implement NetSuite. At the end of the day, these businesses face the same e-commerce accounting challenges in NetSuite that A2X has helped address for other accounting systems for years. And in a nutshell, this is basically why we built our NetSuite integration. The integration works much like our other accounting system integrations work. So A2X automates payout reconciliation, which reduces inaccuracies and the burden of manual entry. And as usual, we focus on providing accurate financials, and in particular in the case of NetSuite, working alongside operational processes which already exist within the system. So with that, I'll give you a quick overview of what this looks like within A2X NetSuite. Yeah, thanks, Amy. So starting with A2X, most things should be rather familiar if you're already an A2X user, basically because most things are quite are the same. So on the connections page, this is what you'd see when you're connected to NetSuite. You're able to select bank accounts which are pulled in from NetSuite and determine where you would like your settlements from A2X to be deposited into. I will show you all the other settings tabs because, as I said, they're mostly consistent with our existing integrations. We do use journal entries for NetSuite, similar to QuickBooks. And so if you were looking for settings such as sales groupings, those would be found under the journals tab. And again, those are the same settings as we have for our other accounting systems. Next slide, please. One tab that I do want to call out is a new tab that is unique to the NetSuite integration. So this is the NetSuite configuration tab. So what we do on this page is we pull in classification or configure or rather segmentation data from NetSuite, which allows you to select a subsidiary and optionally a class department location in order to better segment your data once it's inside NetSuite. This is similar to the tracking codes functionality, which already exists for Xero and QuickBooks today. but is a little bit more tailored for NetSuite's specific setup. I'll jump over to the next slide as well, and we'll show you what this looks like inside NetSuite. Perfect. Thanks, Amy. So you'll see this is what a journal entry would look like coming from A2X and landing in NetSuite. So you'll see a detailed memo which captures critical information for the journal entry, the posting period, as well as some additional information and default NetSuite fields. Similar to other systems, we also provide summary lines in these journal entries. These are using the same mappings functionality that A2X uses for other systems. You'll notice that the deposit has been mapped to a checking account in this case for this particular account, and that would tie out with the bank deposit coming from Amazon. You'll also notice that the sales channel column is populated with Amazon. This was accomplished by using the class selection, which I showed you on the A2X side earlier, by defining a class that we can populate each of these lines as being attributed towards the Amazon sales channel, for example. And that's, I think, most of what I wanted to show you on the NetSuite side. So at the moment, our NetSuite integration is technically in beta, so you won't see it as a connection option by default within A2X. But if you or your clients are keen to get access, please feel free to reach out to our support team or our sales team, and we'd be happy to help you out. Thanks, Amy.
Awesome, thanks, Nori. So that wraps up the major demos that we are going to cover today. Obviously, those are some significant releases that we've made, but throughout the year, we also did a bunch of what we call minor updates. So the best place to keep an eye on these is in the What's New section that I mentioned earlier, but I'll quickly run through a bunch of them now. So we did some work around inferred marketplaces. So sometimes when it's a smaller settlement coming through from Amazon, there might be less detail around the marketplace. So it's generally called the inferred marketplace. So now you have the option to actually select which specific marketplace that was within A2X rather than us just assigning one. We have the option, or there's better linking now between A2X and your accounting software. So within your entry that A2X sends through, there'll be a URL attached to that entry. And so you can copy and paste that into your browser, which will very quickly link you back to the A2X entry. So the benefit of that is if you want to change something within the entry, it's very easy to find it in A2X. Just keep in mind that you'll need to remove that entry within your accounting software if you're going to repost it. There's a bunch of improvements around bulk actions. So as I showed you before on the new admin page, there's the option to select a bunch of entries and send them all at once. You can also refresh them, and this is now far more intuitive. There's the option to remove a transaction type from your A2X zero specific invoice. I would suggest probably a bit of caution with this one, and probably best to talk to an accountant or bookkeeper before actually doing this, because it will mean that your entry isn't going to match perfectly to the entry in your accounting software. But if your workflow means that you want to remove a gateway or something from that entry, then you have the option to do that. It's done on the mapping page. Essentially, you just set a transaction type to be removed. And there's a whole bunch more. So definitely take a look, keep an eye on that section. It's the best place to come up to date. We're releasing things all the time just to make the experience as smooth as possible. And we're just getting started. So as I mentioned at the start of this presentation, there are a couple of features that we're going to talk about that are coming. So we have a lot on the roadmap for 2024. It's really exciting, but there's a couple that are going to be released in the next few weeks that I'm just going to talk about quite quickly now. So we have two big releases that are coming. As Stephen said, a massive priority for A2X, or a massive priority that's always been for A2X, is accuracy. So we're releasing two new features, one in the Amazon space and one in the Shopify space. So in the coming weeks, you should see a notification about signing up for another webinar, and that's called the Amazon Summary Webinar. The reason we're doing it via webinar is that so we can actually demo the product and show you how it works and give a bit of background to it. So a bit of a pain point is when you see your data within A2X, it can be difficult to link that information back to Amazon. So we're releasing a report that will make that a lot easier. And then the other really significant release coming in the next few months is called the Shopify reconciliation tool. So sort of similar to the Amazon summary report, although within A2X for Shopify, we do already have a finance summary that lets you link back to Shopify, so you can kind of compare the two. This tool goes a step further and actually allows you to reconcile at month end, helping you to identify discrepancies and give you absolute certainty that your numbers are all linking back. So this is a really significant release that we're doing. So I would definitely recommend signing up for that webinar. If you're using A2X or Shopify, if you're considering using Shopify, this is going to be a great feature. Thank you. And so this is our final slide. So I just wanted to echo Stephen's sentiments earlier in the presentation. Thank you for your consistent support of A2X and the reviews that you leave us. The team does all see them. Obviously, there's a bunch of features that we've released here and we're talking about, but behind A2X is a customer success team that really cares about your success and also a product team. So I guess the point I'm making here is that A2X does really care about your accuracy and ensuring that you have the best financials. So I think we've answered most of the questions as we've gone. Well, the next section was going to be a Q&A, and we do have a few minutes. So let me just stop sharing my screen and we can bring up the questions. I think we've done our best to answer most of them as we've gone. And it's a good thing that we have, because there have been a lot of questions, which is fantastic. Okay, are there any? Oh, I can see there's a few more that are still open. The first question is, will this be recorded? Which is a nice, easy one to answer. Yes, it will be recorded, and we'll send it out to users after this call. Stephen, are there any questions that you've answered that you think might be applicable to more users that we can call out?
There is a question here, Amy, that just appeared from Nicholas at the bottom. Based in Germany, selling on Amazon. Do you have an integration, or will you in the future with German accounting software? So we do have many clients based in Germany. The accounting systems that we do integrate with are Xero, QuickBooks Online, NetSuite, and Sage. We also have the ability to support what we call a custom integration, which is really a CSV export that can be used for purposes of creating a journal entry in your system. You didn't mention which specific German accounting software that you are using. So I guess if I didn't mention the one that you're using, then unfortunately we don't support it at this time. However, if you want to follow up, my email is steven@A2X accounting.com, and happy to go deeper if that would help. Just trying to see if there's anything else here.
There was a question, I think, quite early on asking about sort of the specific use of A2X. So if you're interested in finding out more, definitely reach out to our customer success team. So, or you can email. I mean, I think most of the communications are going out by my email. So feel free to respond to me, and I'm happy to provide more information, or we can arrange a call with either our sales team or the customer success team. So the best way to ask any questions about the product is via, there's a little chat in the bottom corner of our website, and that will take you through to the customer success team. So as Stephen mentioned, these people have a background in e-commerce and accounting, so they will be in a really good position to answer your questions. I think the response time is usually within a few hours, so, or even in most cases shorter than that. So definitely, if you've got any specific, I guess, kind of product questions, you can reach out there or reach out to us. Don't think there's lots of questions about Canada. Oh, we've got a question here. Is A2X more for personal use or business or accounting business? So A2X supports both direct sellers. So if you're a seller, you can use A2X. But we also do work really closely with a lot of e-commerce accounting practices. So we have a directory. I mentioned it when I was talking about the mapping, but we work with a lot of e-commerce accountants. So if you are an e-commerce accountant and you want to sign up for the A2X partner program, you can do that via A2X's website. Or if you are a seller and you want to work with an accountant that actually specializes in e-commerce, then we have a really great directory on our website. So check that out as well if you're wanting to talk to someone that understands e-commerce. Brilliant. Okay, we've just had another question come through. He's going to send an email. Does this work with QuickBooks? Yeah. So A2X, as Stephen said, works with Xero, QuickBooks, NetSuite, Sage, and the export CSV method. Great. Okay. Well, to be honest, it's getting us pretty close to the hour, so we can wrap it up there. But if you've got any other questions, either reach out to the CS team, like I mentioned, or feel free to send them directly to me, and we'll make sure that they get answered. And thanks so much for joining. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. See ya.